What's up everybody, welcome back to the vlog. So sorry that I could not get a video released of the tournament this weekend. Apparently on Friday night when I was doing some recording for the Swiss trios, there was apparently some people who did not enjoy being filmed. So I was asked not to do any recording the following day for the singles tournament. Anyway, that's whatever. Could not put together a vlog, that's fine. Long story short, I made the classic mistake when it comes to bowling in tournaments. The classic mistake being, I saw the pattern sheet on the front desk of the bowling alley. I looked at it, looked at the volumes, looked at the ratios, looked at the layout of the pattern, and I was like, huh, okay, well then the pattern should play, right around this area. And then I proceeded to try and do that for the entire day during my qualifying block. And it just wasn't working. So, it wasn't until about game 4 that I finally was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go and play the pattern the way I was playing it the night before during the Swiss trios. And what do you know? It started working, but at that point it was just a little too late. That is something that is a big danger for bowlers who go and bowl tournaments. You have to trust your instincts. You have to trust what your eye is telling you, especially when you've already had a chance to practice on the pattern and you kind of know how the pattern's playing. Doesn't matter what the pattern sheet says. You get out there and you bowl the pattern the way the pattern is telling you to play, the way the lane is telling you to play. I can tell you this much, I won't be making that mistake ever again because it was a struggle. By the time I got done with 6 games, I was mentally exhausted and I was physically exhausted too. Trying to force something to work that just wasn't there was very tiring. Unfortunately, I overstrained my right Achilles tendon. I do suffer from an injury on my right Achilles tendon. I have Achilles tendonitis down there, so, I must have just pushed a little too hard at one point and overstrained it, so I had to deal with that throughout the day, and by the time I got done with the 6th game, I was just ready to be done for the day, and anyway, it was a good experience. The Meritage Open is a pretty tough tournament, a very tough format. As far as compared to the shot that I was bowling on the previous weekend in Great Falls, it was pretty comparable. It played a little bit easier. Well, I can't really say that. I guess what I could say is there was probably more experienced bowlers at this tournament than there was in Great Falls, so it seemed like it played easier. To me, it felt like it played about the same. It was just as difficult. The pattern was just as flat. It was actually a little bit shorter than the pattern in Great Falls, which, usually that means it's going to play a little bit harder. But the scoring pace was quite a bit higher. Instead of it being minus 150, 160 to make the cut, it was right around minus 90, minus 80, something like that. And it moved a bunch. During the first squad, it was in the minus 200s, and that was the 24th position. And then the second squad, I think there was some more experienced bowlers out there. On top of that, the second squad, there was some 50 some odd bowlers, almost 60 bowlers, I think, bowling in that squad. So there was a lot more people playing. The shot opened up, and so that allowed the scoring pace to be a little bit higher. Anyway, it was a good experience. I'm looking forward to next year. I don't have too many tournaments coming up here over the next couple of weeks. My next tournament, major tournament anyway, isn't until the middle of November. In the meantime, I am going to put in the work, get in some practice. I've got some bowling balls in my arsenal that I recently got drilled that I want to throw, my asymmetric stuff, and I want to make sure I understand the ball motions there. I've got my symmetrical arsenal pretty well lined out, I think, with those 2 fantasy solids and those 2 fantasy star pearls. So today I've got my asymmetrical arsenal with me with the fresh drillings on the equipment. I'm going to take that stuff inside and I'm going to see what it's like. So we're going to get things started today with the Big Bro Jacked. Now, if you've been watching my videos recently, you know that this is a ball that I had before, but I had a pin down layout on it. It was a 5 by 4.5 by 4.5, and at that layout, it never really moved enough for me, and it had a tendency to kind of roll over the fingers and the thumb a lot. So I had it redrilled. What we have on this now is a 3 3/8 by 5 3/4 by 1.5. So the 5 3/4 puts the PSA basically in the thumb, and it's got a 1.5-inch pin buffer. This ball is a fairly early ball, so what this ball should give me now is basically the ability to keep my angles in front of me and a little bit straighter and still have the back end motion I'm looking for. So we're going to move on to the Show Me the Money. Now, I have not changed the layout on this ball yet. I may. I haven't decided quite yet. Right now, I like kind of how it reads the mid lane. I'm a little concerned about how it's a little bit sloppy on the back, so if I do a redrill on this, I will give it probably a smaller pin buffer, but this ball is 4 by 4 by 2. Let's get that out on the lanes and see how much different it plays from the Big Bro Jacked. Now, this ball has a little bit later roll to it on the core stats than the Big Bro Jacked, so it should push a little further, read the mid lane, and have a little bit more drive on the back, which should allow me to open my angles. Time to move on to the no graffiti. Now, again, if you've been watching my videos, you will notice that this is a ball that I had in my arsenal a while ago, and it had a pin down layout on it. But again, it had the same layout as the Big Bro Jacked had before, but it rolled over the fingers and the thumb quite a bit and didn't have a lot of motion to it, so it was really a ball that I was unable to use. I got it redrilled. It's got the same layout as the Big Bro Jacked, so it's 3 3/8 by 5 3/4 by 1.5 inches. As far as stats on the ball, it's a little bit later than the Big Bro Jacked, but it still wants to pick up the lane pretty early. So I should be able to use this ball to play off the Big Bro Jacked once the Big Bro Jacked starts to basically not turn the corner. Let's get it out on the lanes and see what it looks like. Okay, so there's the 3 different asymmetric balls that I have that I recently redrilled. Out of those 3, the 2 that I really like the most as far as ball shape and motion on the lane is the Big Bro Jacked and the Show Me the Money. You know, the Jacked has that smooth, continuous hooking shape into the pocket, which I really like. And then that Show Me the Money has a similar motion, just a little bit more back end. So it almost gives me that hook set shape. Now, the no graffiti is something I'm not as used to. It's more of a skid snap. It's got more back end motion to it because of the layout that's on the ball combined with the stats of the ball. So what I'm going to do for my game for score is use the no graffiti and use it for the entire game so I can try and get used to that shape, recognizing that shape and basically how to use that shape the best. practice game for score was 221. You know, not bad. I'm still kind of getting used to that shape that ball gives me. It really likes to read the friction, so I was noticing if I got it right a little early to the friction spot, it overread and of course jumped high. So it's just one of those things that I need to get more used to seeing, and I'm getting more consistent as I practice more, so my shot consistency is going a lot higher. Yeah, anyway, I really like those 3 layouts now. Those balls actually give me some really decent motion. You know, part of this whole process of getting those 2 balls anyway redrilled was basically understanding myself as a player and coming to grips with the type of player that I am. I've said before in some videos that I am a low tilt player, a very high track on my bowling balls. So if I don't have the proper layout on my equipment really likes to burn up in the front part of the lane and just not react at all. So, you know, for me, what that translates into for layouts is, you know, a lot of balls that have a pin to PAP of max leverage like 3 3/8 to what I'm finding out is basically a maximum of 4 inches. If I go any higher than 4 inches, I start tracking right over my fingers and my thumb, and I lose ball reaction because of that. So the other thing I'm noticing is my pin buffer distances need to be a lot shorter because I do have low tilt. You know, I'm basically causing the ball to flare at its maximum amount, and in order to get the ball to turn at the end of the pattern, you need to have a smaller pin buffer measurement. So my pin buffers are from now on going to be probably a maximum of 1.5 inches. You know, I don't think I really have any balls in my arsenal right now that go below 1.5 inches. My maximum right now in my arsenal is about 2 inches. So the next time I get a ball, I'm real curious to put, you know, a smaller pin buffer on the layout and see kind of what it gives me. You know, I'm thinking what it's going to give me is that extreme back end motion, which, you know, is sometimes something that you need. Throughout practice today, my ankle is starting to feel a little bit better. I gave it a lot of ice on Sunday after the tournament on Saturday, and, you know, I iced it and then relaxed for a bit, then iced it again, and I am doing some extra stretches for my Achilles tendon area of my body just to make sure that I'm correctly getting that proper stretch in that Achilles tendon. And then the biggest thing also I'm going to be doing from here on out is stretching after practice to make sure that I'm basically not allowing the tendon to get real tight after a practice session. And as far as practice is concerned, I'm still going to be practicing every day, but I'm going to be making sure I only do 4 games. Doesn't matter what's going on. 4 games, 4 games, 4 games, and trying to make sure I don't overstress that Achilles tendon. I need to make sure I allow it to heal as time goes on. You know, I've got about 2.5 to 3 weeks here before my next tournament, so I need to make sure that my Achilles tendon is nice and relaxed and strong and ready to perform in my next big tournament. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the vlog today. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.